Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series from the Disney Plus TV series The Mandalorian. This is Dinjar and the Mandalorian and Grogu from Arvala 7. This is one of those early episodes of Season 1 where we first find out Grogu was actually Force sensitive, had the power to wield the Force. Then we refer to him as the child or Baby Yoda. We did not know his name. But this is a very, very early one, Season 1. So it's kind of crazy to get like a Season 1 type figure way after now, like a year after Season 2. Which is crazy. Book of Boba Fett just ended. That I don't want to get into that, but we saw a lot of these two in there. Not a lot, but definitely a fair amount, which was great. In Boba Fett's show that we got more Mandalorian stuff. That's cool. Should have been like Mandalorian season 2.5. Anyway, interesting set. This is a Target exclusive. I was able to get mine, order mine through Target.com. It's been going in and out of stock like crazy over the last week. It's been a pain in the ass to try and get it. You add to the cart, you try to check out, it's sold out. I was able to get it after like 6 failed tries or something like that. But I got it, arrived today, and I'm pretty excited about it. I know this is one that a lot of people hate, don't want, cash grab, easy repaint, all this and that. Sure, okay, yeah. All right. I'm not going to argue with you, but here's the thing I will say. We have a Season 1 Pram, which we have not gotten in Black Series yet, right? We have the other Target exclusive Grogu and Dinjarin set that had the Season 2 Pram, right? It had the silverish gray color with the gold on there, so it is not the same Pram. And here we actually get the Grogu, the Force-wielding Grogu, which, now that I look at it, it actually might be the same exact Grogu. It's just that his eyes are closed on this one, and I think the easy way to do that is either a new head, which it's probably not, just didn't paint the eyes on there and just left it green. So, you know, that's kind of cool. At first I thought it was going to be a new one, but I could see the arms are in the same place, so that kind of sucks that it's reused. But it's cool because his eyes are closed, and then we get the egg. I forget what the egg is called, but that's the one where the off-world Jawas, you know, wanted it, they opened it and everything. So it's an interesting set. It's not necessary because it's just from one scene from a particular episode, but that's not the first time that Hasbro does that kind of things, right? If you get one scene, yeah, sure, why not make a figure out of it? It's an exclusive. It's not going to be available everywhere. It's not taking up the spot in somewhere in the line or anything like that. So it's a, you know, if you want to pass on it, pass on it. No big deal. For me, I like it. I'm collecting the Mandalorian figures. It's a cool concept for me, so I'm happy with it. But anyway, here you see the Star Wars, the Mandalorian side artwork looking very cool. You see Grogu in his pram right there, holding, you know, with his hand out. You see Din covered in mud there. He's got the egg, and then you can see the mud horn here at the top. So that is pretty cool. Look at the back of the package. It says, the Mandalorian is battle-worn and tight-lipped, a formidable bounty hunter in an increasingly dangerous galaxy who finds a mysterious alien pursued by bounty hunters on behalf of Imperial interests. This is number 14 in the Star Wars The Mandalorian line. And enough of that, let's get these things out of the package. Okay, so here are the figures out of the package, and a couple of things to start. It is essentially the same figure as the first original release Mandalorian, but the shoulder pauldron is different because this is the one, I think after the first episode, didn't he get a new one? So this one is a Season 1 figure with the new pauldron. So that is cool. That kind of sets up the difference. And then the torso itself is different because he has the broken chest plate as opposed to the regular one where, you know, the chest plate is just kind of already damaged and stuff. But this one is like the full-on damage from being hit by the mud horn and everything. Other than that, it's essentially the same figure. So I won't be doing like a side-by-side comparison of this one. I'm not going to take it out, but because it is basically the same thing. I went over the comparisons. That's really it. And then, of course, paint apps and that kind of thing. But anyway, let's take a closer look at Grogu, then we'll take a closer look at Dinjarin. Before we get to the rest of it, you with this older pack for Season 2, man, that was way better. We got a lot more accessories in this thing than in this one. His pram doesn't have the full lid like the one in this pack did. We get that Beskar, the tracking fob, and then we have the jetpack. This one just has the stupid egg. Like, there's less stuff. It kind of sucks. Now that I look at it, the price is higher, but that's a whole separate issue. So I'm a little disappointed now. You know, a couple of other accessories would have been cool. Not exactly sure what other you know what? Not true. A vibro blade would have been really cool because that's the weapon that he used to finish off the Mudhorn. That I would have been very happy with, you know, as opposed to getting less stuff. It sucks. It is what it is. It sucks. But I just thought I'd point that out. Okay, so here is an up-close look at the Season 1 Pram with Grogu in there. And one thing to note about Grogu is if you look at him, also, he gets a little bit of mud on his cheeks there. But looking at it, it looks to be the same exact Grogu that we had in that previous set that I had shown you. The colors are just slightly different, but essentially the same. The head sculpts actually look to be about the same. It's just, you know, they didn't paint the eyes, and that's how, you know, you get it to look closed. But as you can see, the arms are in the same spot and everything. You get the feet painted there. Not a whole lot else going on. The hair is a little bit more noticeable on the new one. But that's really it. But same Grogu that we got before. But looking at the Pram looks cool. This is the Season 1, the first original design. So when we first see Grogu, this is the Pram that he is in. I thought it had a lid, so, you know, damn, we should have gotten the lid to go with it. That would have been cool. Because you could see here, this one, you know, the one that, I think this is the one that Queel had built for him, you know, that had a lid. But we get some cool details inside of here. Now, I don't know how lighting might be tricky, but you could see some details in there. We got some silver paint in the back. On the inside, you get some orange there. Doesn't look like I can focus in that much. But some nice little design, some, you know, some paint apps in some certain spots. So that is pretty cool. Yeah, I can't really. It's hard to get that to focus right on the inside there. But there is some silver paint. Yeah, I really. And I'm sorry, guys, I really can't get in for a closer look, and you can get that in focus because of how the design of it. It's not like this comes off and I can let all this light in there because, you know, I just can't. But looking at it, that's really cool. The inside details and then the black padding there. So that is pretty cool. Now, one thing I'm looking at when I'm looking at the Pram here, and this kind of confirms it for me, but when we had spoilers for the Book of Boba Fett, if you're not caught up, but one little thing is we see a little bit of a flashback of Grogu from the Jedi Temple, and in that view, you kind of see a rigid edge kind of alongside that vision that we're seeing, and I want to say that, you know, that's the inside of the Pram, because based on how this looks, you know, that kind of confirms it for me. Maybe that's not exactly it, but for me, I think that's what it is. Looking at the paint details, we get some paint scrubs, some metallic silver in there to show some scratching and some battle damage and scuffing and things like that, and that all looks pretty good. Comes with the stand. It's the same stand that we got before with the other pack. You just put it on there like so, and it can kind of replicate how it floats and everything. One thing that's a little tricky is you want to be careful. You don't want to break this. It's pretty thin, so you really want to be careful. And then that peg hole is not super deep, so, you know, keep that in mind. Be careful when plugging that in, and then there you go. For anyone curious, looking at the inside of the Prams, you can see the difference between the two and kind of how those designs look. They are very similar to each other, but they are definitely different, as you can see there. Okay, and then just looking at the egg real quick. Sorry, I don't have an off-world Jawa to show them, you know, opening it up and trying to feast on it. But it's a hairy-ass egg, which I always thought was kind of weird. It looks pretty good. You know, it's just really noticeable that they have the, you know, because you could crack it open and stuff. I almost wish that they didn't have that feature and we just had the egg, because I just think it looks funny without that. But on the inside, you see the yolk and everything. I mean, that looks pretty good. It's just yellow paint stuck in there. No big deal. But it's a nice little accessory to come with it. But now let's check out Mando. Okay, so here's an up-close look at Mando, the Dinjar, and the Mandalorian. First, let's take a look at his rifle here, and this is the same that we had gotten a couple of times. So silver paint here, black paint, more silver, and then brown for the handle of the rifle, and that looks pretty good. The scope offset there. Big-ass peg right there, because that peg plugs into his back, so you can see right there through the strap and into his back. And it holds on pretty tight. It's kind of, sometimes it can get actually a little tricky because you got to make sure the strap fits on, is in the right spot to be able to plug it through both. And that just makes it kind of tough. And one thing, it feels like there's a lot of resistance trying to peg it into the back. Again, because this is a new torso piece, it wouldn't be the exact same. So maybe the fitting of it just isn't quite right, but I feel like you have to force it a little bit too much. And because of that, you could see it's really kind of scraping right there and chipping the paint off, which, you know, the paint to be expected, but should it be like chipping at the plastic? So that kind of sucks. Like I don't want that happening, but it is what it is. We have the hand blaster here, which is holstered on the side, and this looks pretty good. A nice silver metallic paint to it, and then just brown for the handle there. But that looks really good. Okay, but let's look at Mandalorian. So he's a whole lot of brown, lots and lots of brown all over, because he's covered in mud. So it makes sense. I really like the paint deco on the helmet. So instead of the cool silver Beskar helmet, we get a brown helmet covered in mud. And then the visor, you actually get a spray pattern of the mud on there. And that looks really good. I think they did a great job with it. The brown itself, it has a speckled look to it. So if you look closely at the speckles of it, so it's not just like a clean, complete brown. There is some... not texture, it looks textured to kind of show that, you know, he was sprayed and covered in mud. He was rolling around in mud, fighting a mudhorn. So it's not going to be perfectly brown and clean and whatnot. So I think that came out looking really good. And some of the positives there. Looking at his cape on the back, it's covered with mud too, but they added a little bit of paint in there to kind of show like the regular color of the cape, because the regular color of the cape is kind of a dark gray color. So you see the gray that's painted on there to kind of show that those are some of the kind of the cleaner areas of the cape. The inside is all just completely brown, but it's the outside that you see some of the gray in there. So that's nice that they didn't do just a complete flat color. So they did some paint details in there. Looking at the torso, we get a nice light brown spray kind of effect in there to show the splatter of mud, and that's kind of throughout the torso here. You know, he was fighting the mudhorn, so he got his ass beat, right? I think if I remember the episode correctly, the mudhorn charged at him and hit him directly in the chest. So you can see it is just all kinds of damaged. They did a good job, a decent job. I'm not going to say a great job or anything, but a decent job of kind of showing that chest plate being all broken and kind of hanging down. It all kind of flows together into one piece, but you can really see kind of what they're going for in the design of it, how it's kind of hanging down and stuff. You know, there's no details on what the inside was. I remember there being some like wiring and things like that. You don't really see that, but it's pretty cool. Looking at this pauldron, you see the dark brown of the pauldron, and then you get a lighter brown of the mud color that's kind of sprayed and covered on there, so that looks pretty good. Again, here is that Beskar pauldron. There is no mudhorn insignia on it, but you get a nice spray brown on there to show the mud. His arms are surprisingly clean though. So the dark gray of the bodysuit that he wears underneath got really clean. His gauntlet pieces though, brown, but then you get a little bit of the spray mud brown, light brown on there. That looks pretty good. His hands, you can kind of see it. The same kind of paint detail as the helmet, where it's not a complete clean brown. You can see a little bit of variation, some speckle in it, and that kind of makes the mud, the dirty look to it. Same with the other hand. A little bit of spray brown on the gauntlet piece there. Looks pretty good. Looking at his crotch, the action figure portion of it, because it's weird to just do that normally. Nice spray mud design on there as well. Same with the strap and the belt. It's not completely that light brown mud color. Most of the mud that you see on here is actually a paint added onto it to really show. They didn't just cheap it out and say, oh, let's just mold it all in this light brown. No, it is the normal darker brown color and then the light brown paint applied to it. So if you look at the back where it's nice and clean, there's no mud going on there. You can see the color of the belt and the strap. And then looking at the front, how light brown it is because they added the mud paint detail in there. Now looking at his pants, pretty clean for the most part, but then when you get to like the mid thigh and on down, that's when you get the mud covering the gray portions of like the body jumpsuit that he's wearing. So you see the mud added on there. The armor pieces, you can see the mud color added on there. So this armor piece was already a light brown, but again, you could see the painted detail of the mud splatter that's on there. So again, nice details there. Here's where it kind of looks like they just molded it in brown a little bit, and that's going to be the boot. So that's because he was walking around in the mud. But like on the feet, you actually see the kind of the same detail, same that I was talking about on the hands and his helmet. You see the kind of the speckled look of the mud on the boot. So it's not just a clean brown. There is the painted detail on there. So all these different spots, you could see that they added paint on top to show the mud, and it's not just completely saturated in mud. Yes, it's covered, but it's not just, you know, the solid brown color. You see the paint variations in there to make it look like he actually was covered with mud. Now, I'm not going to call it a texture because it's not really textured. It's just how they did the paint detail of it. And again, I think it came out looking really, really nice. But you guys let me know in the comments below what you think of that. That was a long time to go over all of that. So now let's see his articulation. Okay, so for the articulation, let's look at Grogu first. You can move the head around a little bit. It's a little bit hard. It's very rubbery. You can kind of move his ears around a little bit. The hands are on a ball peg, so you can actually move the hands around a little bit. And that's pretty much it for him. So let's look at Mando. So the head, you know, this isn't going to be anything new. If you have the Mandalorian figures, you already know this. This helmet, now my understanding is I always thought this was the head. This helmet is actually a glued on piece underneath a generic head that's inside there, and you can see it's like a primer gray underneath there. But it is not removable because at this point in the show, he didn't remove the helmet at all. So, you know, it makes sense that he wouldn't come with the Dinjar head. So you can get some great pivot going on in there. Full rotation, of course. Looking up is kind of a problem. He's not really going to look up a whole lot. Looking down, he can do that a decent amount. You get the shoulder to go up this high, and you can see that pauldron goes over the torso shoulder piece. So that is great. So you can get that good movement there. Full rotation. Single jointed elbow. I hate the single jointed elbows. It seems like all Black Series are really going that route, and it's kind of making me mad. But you get a 90-degree bend there. I didn't notice this before, but the forearm completely swivels at that gauntlet piece, separate from the swivel at the elbow. So that's just kind of interesting. Wrist hinge, as you can see there. Before I forget, there is a butterfly joint, so you can get the arm to go back a little bit. Can't really get it to go forward a whole lot, but there is that butterfly joint in there. The torso is on this like torso ball just below the diaphragm, so it's a little bit lower than you would normally see, but he could pivot to his right that much. He could pivot to his left that much, which isn't a whole lot. There is a little bit of a swivel at that rocker, that ball joint there. Coming forward really isn't a whole lot, especially because the cape really just kind of gets in the way of it. Going back a little bit, but the cape again really gets in the way of it. Let's see, yeah, there's no waist swivel, so again, all turning that you're going to get is going to be at that abdomen ball joint there. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward only that far. That's not very good. Yeah, but only that far. That armor piece really gets in the way. His right leg can kick a little bit higher, so that is good. You have an upper thigh cut in there, so full swivel there. You have a double jointed knee, which looks pretty good. You get that armor piece in there. You can see they didn't paint the complete inside of that kneecap. There is a little bit of that brown paint in there for the mud, so that's a nice little added detail, I guess. But again, double jointed knee. There is no boot swivel on this guy. Foot hinges all the way down though. You get a hinge up, ankle pivot, peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So nothing new with this guy. The more that I look at it, I still really like it, but I wish it was a little bit bulkier. You know, looking back at certain times, especially like in the Book of Boba Fett, that first episode where he appeared, he looked bulky as shit. It looked awesome. So I wish we had a slightly bigger mold for the body. And I don't know if maybe the Beskar armor looks a little bit bulkier, but it still uses, I think, the same base body. Maybe it looks a little bit bigger, but I wish it was a little bit bulkier. But, you know, maybe that's just me. You guys let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on that. So, okay, so that is my review of the Arvala 7, the muddy Target exclusive Mandalorian and Grogu 2-pack. As you can see, there is no Mudhorn figure, so I just wrapped up a Black Panther Rhino in brown paper to make it look like he's a hairy, muddy Mudhorn. And so we have him attacking Mando while Grogu was just chilling off to the side, getting ready to use the Force to take down and stop the Mudhorn. And then, you know, Grogu finished it off, not Grogu, Mandalorian finished it off with the Vibro Blade, which would have been really cool if they included that, and Hasbro really should have included that, because yes, we do get less accessories with this deluxe pack versus the previous deluxe pack that we had gotten. The paint apps are pretty good on this. You know, we get a lot, but the previous ones also were pretty good. You know, the silver Beskar paint. Well, I guess that version, the Season 2 version of Mandalorian with all the Beskar, there wasn't actually a whole lot of paint to that figure. You know, they didn't do a whole lot of, there wasn't a whole lot of like the battle damage type stuff, but the details of like the ammo in the straps and the belt and everything like that, those were all painted, the gloves were painted, so there was a decent amount of paint in there. So it sucks that this one we get less and less. And that seems to be the trend with Star Wars Black Series. Because I'm not the biggest collector, I don't feel like I'm really the one to kind of to know best, or to really understand and see kind of where it's been to where it's going. But just with these two packs in particular, and the fact that everything now seems to be single jointed elbows, it seems to be going backwards. It sucks. You know, they have some good characters that are going to be coming out, some really good looking figures. It sucks. It's just a tough time to be a collector when it comes to Black Series stuff. I understand the prices are going up on things. I get it. I understand why. It still sucks when you feel like it's going backwards. Marvel Legends, I don't feel that way. It's just with Black Series, I really feel that way. You know, and then, you know, it's just one of those things. But hopefully you guys will be able to get your hands on this if you want it. Let me know down in the comments below if you like this 2-pack, or if you're just going to pass on it completely because it's really unnecessary. And truth be told, it kind of is unnecessary. Do you really need a muddy Mando from one particular scene of one particular episode? Probably not. That's going to be the same with the other Target exclusive, the, I forget what the planet name, but it's the one with the ice spiders, or snow spiders, whatever they're called. Same thing with that pack. Is it necessary? No, it's really, really not. But it's cool. I like it. I enjoy it. I'm going to get it. So that's kind of where this one falls in line. But you guys let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on this Mandalorian figure pack. Is it something that you want to pick up? Have you been trying through Target.com? I'll include a link in the video description below. Make sure you set the in-stock alert so you can get that notification. And then you have to be quick. The only reason why I got it is because my phone was in my hand and I was looking at it. So I saw it, clicked on it, add to cart, and then check out, all of that, and I was able to get it. But again, that was like my 6th time. 5 or 6 failed times before. So good luck. Link in the video description below. Let me know what you think of this 2-pack in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.